Hi, Promen followers. I'm very happy and glad we got the opportunity to meet with awesome expert Charlese Poliquina. We welcome you here.
Thank you very much.
We would like to ask you something about the supplement BCAA. There is a lot of studies that say actually that if the protein that that you take from the diet is enough, the supplement BCAA is ineffective. But there is also a lot of people that actually think that BCAA supplement is one of most important supplements, and they wouldn't ever do fasted cardio without BCAA. So, would you recommend BCAA, or are you against?
I'm probably the guy who used the most in the industry for the longest time. So I'm a very, very strong believer in BCAAs. The thing is that when people quote studies, they obviously did not read all the studies, because there's a lot of very good studies. The early studies were negative towards BCAA, but they used a dose that was so low that it's like saying doing push-ups doesn't get you stronger, but they only studied 2 push-ups. So the doses were very, very low. But then when people start to use what we call physiological dosages, then they saw it works very well. And you know, athletes are not going to waste money if it doesn't work. In my experience, it's quite the opposite. I've been using, the first time I heard BCAA was 1984. But the Italian studies used such a small dose, it was like saying doing 2 push-ups a day doesn't get you in shape, of course, because the dose is too low. But when you start to use high dosages in training, you see a lot of results. The reason why people say it don't work is because they don't train hard enough for the BCAA to work. But if you use what I call a physiological dose, it's a very good training aid. And now there's research that shows, for example, even if you train at altitude, BCAAs prevent fatigue. And a lot of people who have accidents at high altitude is because the BCAA levels are too low to maintain brain function. There's studies that show that if you, let's say, have a knee surgery and you stay in bed and you can't train, BCAAs you will lose less muscle mass when you're in active bed rest. So BCAAs do work, they're here to stay, I don't think they'll ever go away. But there's a lot of things that you can add to BCAAs that magnify the effects. So for example, in the Promen line, they add citrulline. Citrulline has been, and they put a lot of citrulline in, they're not cheap. So citrulline, most companies don't give enough, okay, but Promen is a good company. So citrulline malate, a lot of studies show that it doesn't really increase how much you could do on your first set, but people who take citrulline with BCAAs, they perform set 8, 9, 10. So instead of doing 6 reps, they're doing 10 reps. And that extra reps will make somebody grow muscle faster. And one of the things with BCAA is one of the active ingredients is leucine. And there's a lot of very good research out of Finland and Norway, particularly, that show that leucine gives the message to the human body to synthesize muscle. So basically, it's like, hey, muscle, you're supposed to grow, and that comes from leucine. Okay.
The other question would be, if you're like supporter, what ratio would you recommend?
A 2-1-1, because what happens is that would be the minimum of leucine, because leucine, okay, so if you look at research, if you only take leucine, you grow. But they found that if you add isoleucine and valine, you grow more. But the most important of the messengers for what they call mTOR pathway, which is muscle growth pathway, is leucine. So companies who give you a 1-1-1, they're cheap. Leucine costs money, so a good ratio is 2-1-1.
And the last question would be, if taking BCAA, when?
Okay, so
that would be the hardest, or
no. So I've experimented with that with a lot of Olympic medalists. Before, we used to say, take some before, during, and after training. I tried every mathematical permutation. So for a 90 kilo man, I would say 40 grams, if you want to be anabolic, during training. So you prepare the liquid, you dilute it, you have a liter bottle with 40 grams of BCAAs. You just want to make sure that by the end of the workout, your bottle of water is finished. For women, let's say 60 kilos, 20 grams would be the optimal dose. It's like anything else in life, you get what you pay for. So if you invest in 40 grams, you're going to have the best results. But I wouldn't say 120 is 3 times better. 40 is the optimal dose.
Stupid question. Let's say I'm 60 kilos and I take like 60 grams. Can I overdose? Is such a thing to overdose?
You're not going to die from it, but the point is that the benefits ratio is not going to improve. So that would be the scale at which I'd like to give out BCAAs.
Thank you very much for...
Prosím.
Thank you very much.
Okay.